Welcome to The Explainer. In this new age of AI, we're all grappling with a really big question. It's actually something I was just discussing with a group of teachers at the Khalifah Education Foundation, and it's all about one thing: trust. How do we trust the information we're getting? I mean, think about it. An AI can crank out an essay that looks absolutely perfect. It can write you a poem, summarize a complex research paper, but who's behind it? When there's no author, no person to hold accountable, how can we really trust what it's saying? How do we know it's not just a machine hallucination that just happens to sound convincing? So to really get this, let's picture the way knowledge travels. First, you have the oldest way, a student reciting what they've learned directly to a teacher. That teacher knows the source, they can vouch for it, a direct human connection. Then comes the book. Same information, but now it's one step removed from that living, breathing teacher. And now, today, we have the chatbot. It makes a claim, and the human source, well, it's nowhere to be seen. That chain of trust gets stretched, and then it just seems to snap. But here's the wild part. What if I told you this exact anxiety we're feeling, this fear about a new technology breaking our trust information, isn't new at all? In fact, it's an echo of a debate that raged over 1,000 years ago. Okay, let's jump back in time. We're going to 11th century Baghdad, which was this incredible, bustling hub of scholarship. And right in the middle of it all is a scholar named al-Khatīb al-Baghdādī. And believe it or not, he was dealing with a technology that felt just as disruptive and world-changing to him then as AI feels to us now: the book. See, in his world, the absolute foundation of all knowledge was a concept called the isnad. The isnad was everything. It wasn't just what you knew, it was how you knew it. It was this unbroken human chain, meticulously tracking who heard what from whom all the way back to the original source. This chain of trustworthy people was the ultimate guarantee that what you were hearing was authentic. And the stakes were incredibly high. The scholar Ibn al-Mubarak said it best: the isnad is part of religion. Without it, anyone could say whatever they wished. This wasn't just some dusty academic rule. It was the firewall. It was the one thing they believed stood between knowledge and just chaos. So you can probably guess why this newfangled technology, the book, was so scary to them. A book could be copied, and suddenly the author is gone. The human link is broken. It meant knowledge could just bypass the actual living experts. And worse, a text could be secretly changed, forged, or filled with random commentary that gets confused with the original words. Does any of that sound familiar? But here is the most important part of the story. They didn't just panic and ban books. That would be like us trying to ban AI or the internet. No, they did something way smarter. They got to work and developed brand new systems to wrap this new technology in their old, timeless principles of trust and accountability. I mean, the parallel is just stunning. On the left, you've got the 11th century worry that a book could hide its author or be changed. And on the right, our 21st century worry that an AI's words have no clear source and might just be total fabrications, what we call hallucinations. The tech is worlds apart, but the fundamental problem of trust, it's exactly the same. And oh, they argued about it. A scholar named al-Masabudi asked this really sharp question. He said, look, if a scholar is just reading from his book and doesn't actually know the material by heart, how can he possibly be a reliable source for it? He was basically saying you can't just outsource your brain to a piece of tech. That was a massive red flag for them. So what did they do? One of their most brilliant solutions was the ijaza. The best way to think about it is like a license or a certification. A respected teacher would grant a student their formal permission and ijaza to teach a specific book. It was genius. It took that personal, human authority from the oral world and stamped it right onto the written page. The chain of trust was repaired. Now, of course, it wasn't all fear and suspicion. You had forward thinkers like the Caliph al-Ma'mun, who saw the incredible potential here. He said, the book revives what memory has put to death. He got it. He knew that books could save knowledge from being lost forever and spread it farther than any single human voice ever could. Okay, so this brings us right back to today and to the big so what question. How can a 1,000-year-old debate give us a real, practical guide for using AI? Well, it turns out these ancient ideas give us the perfect blueprint for building trust into our modern tools. And here it is. This is that toolkit. The classical isnad, that chain of trust, is what we're asking for when we demand full citations and source links from an AI. The ijaza, that license to transmit knowledge, well, that's just like creating clear policies for how we're allowed to use AI in our schools and workplaces.
The old practice of art, of checking a text against an expert, that's our modern-day fact-checking against trusted sources. And canonization, using only approved texts, that's us telling our AI to stick to reliable databases. It's a ready-made framework for us.
So let's get practical. How do we actually do this? This is where those conversations I had with the teachers at the workshop get really exciting, because we can map this out into a clear, usable workflow for pretty much anyone, students, teachers, all of us. It really just boils down to these 5 simple steps. Think of it as your personal isnad for AI. Step 1, intent. Why are you even using the tool? What's your goal? 2, provenance. You have to demand a source for every major claim. Make it give you a link. 3, corroboration. Don't just trust that one link. Go find 2 other reliable sources that back it up. 4, context. Does this information actually make sense in the bigger picture? And finally, 5, attribution. Be honest and transparent about how you use the tool. This simple process puts you back in the driver's seat. And for teachers, this can become a formal part of the learning process. The workshop came up with this idea of an AI use declaration. For any assignment, a student just has to state what tool they used, why they used it, what prompts they gave it, and what they changed. This isn't about catching cheaters, it's about teaching transparency and critical thinking. It turns the act of using AI into a lesson in itself. When you step back, the lesson from al-Khatīb and his world is so powerful. The point isn't to run away from innovation. The goal is to anchor it. We can fully embrace these amazing new tools, but we have to ground them in those timeless human principles of integrity and accountability. So we'll leave you with this piece of ancient wisdom that has never been more relevant. Seek truth by its evidence. Do not let names distract you from meanings. Whether that name is a famous scholar, a printed book, or a powerful AI, our job as thinkers never changes. We have to look past the label and dig into the evidence for ourselves. That's all for this edition of The Explainer.